Ashes of Creation has one of the most unique combat styles in all of MMOs. With the ability to toggle between tab targeting and action combat, this could literally revolutionize the way we do combat in MMOs. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down how exactly that works, some pros and cons to help you figure out which playstyle you're going to do, and then stick around to the end because I'm going to be talking about how this could either really be helpful or really harmful to the game. Now, if you're not familiar with tab targeting or action style combat, let's do a quick little recap on what those are. A lot of people know what this is because they play MMOs, but in World of Warcraft, you'll see these different targets I've got here. And the tab target is very, very simple, where I have the ability to simply literally hit the tab key on my keyboard, and I can actually literally just go in between the different targets. You can see the one that's getting bigger. And most of the way that works is my actions and my abilities will only hit the person that I am targeting, unless it's specifically like an AoE style ability. On the other hand, then you've got your action style combat, which is more of, think New World, where you can literally aim your abilities, where you might actually have a physical reticle on your screen, which kind of shows like, I have to aim here, I have to do my ability there, and I can physically miss all that kind of stuff. The beautiful part about Ashes of Creation is there's actually kind of a hybrid. So you'll see in this first video here that you can actually have a reticle. Now, Steven, this is one of the head developers of the game, he actually has to walk around in this archer or ranger, hunter, whatever the actual name is, and he actually has to aim his abilities. You can even see here when doing melee, he actually is physically aiming his abilities. Now, this is really, really cool because I do like action style combat. However, some people don't. But the really cool part about Ashes of Creation is you're actually going to be able to pick which one you want to do or which one you don't to do. We're going to talk some pros and cons. We're going to talk advantages. But I think the fact that you can actually pick which one you want to do is super cool. So for example, if you are doing a ranged action style combat, there's some really cool features in it. Like for example, if you have a reticle, it actually has the physics with your environment, meaning that if you're trying to shoot an arrow, but you walk behind a tree, the tree will actually block your arrow. Check out this clip. This is coming from the Copium Clinic YouTube channel. That is actually the name of the channel, Copium Clinic. I just gotta celebrate the alliteration.
You can see in the ranged combat live stream, Steven's hitting the Minotaur with arrows here and here, but not here.
Look at that.
There was a tree in the way. Maybe that was just a miss or a bump.
I love the small detail of physics.
Well, it happens again right here.
You're not having to aim.
I think like even just the small detail of being able to have that type of like aim your abilities action style is huge because it adds an additional skill element where if you can kind of time the timing of your arrow going out, then you can kind of know like, should I pivot behind the tree or should I strafe away from it at the exact time of it? That kind of stuff really piques my interest because it kind of keeps me a lot more mentally stimulated while I'm just doing like normal questing, going around killing mobs. So I think those small little details are really good. And it doesn't just have to do with the more action style combat. It has to do with just kind of physics of how Ashes of Creations is looking to work, which that's a whole nother topic for the video. But I think so far that is absolutely incredible. You have the ability, especially if you are going to be a melee user. I really love action style combat when it comes to melee because it gives you the ability to kind of, you know, like cleave your targets just by what's in front of you. Because for example, if we go back to World of Warcraft and our tab targeting system, normally, unless it's specifically some sort of AoE ability, you can see my guy he's only hitting the mob that's right in front of me. If you see the numbers popping up, I'm only doing damage to the mob that's right in front of me. I am swinging this ginormous sword, and you can see almost like physically in the game, my sword is going through this target. However, it's not doing any damage. Not very realistic. I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but the concept of my huge sword going through multiple mobs and actually cleaving them actually seems super interesting to me as someone that loves to do a lot of melee. Again, I want to check out this clip because I want to showcase how this is going to work in Ashes of Creation. Check it out.
Ash's melee system is almost pure action combat. Senior combat designer Gigatrad confirms this here.
First of all, Gigatrad, yes!
In the last live stream, all of our melee attacks were
Again, notice the reticle. He's actually aiming with his cursor.
more hitboxes, right? They didn't acquire a hard target.
You don't have to have anyone.
And the really cool part about the action style comment of this, I didn't mention this, is it will select a target depending on where your mouse is aiming. So for example, in New World, there is no targeting at all. You don't select a target. You just kind of aim your weapon. In this game, it's a hybrid because depending on who you're actually aiming at, I don't know why I'm holding up a gun, but depending on who you're aiming at, like it's almost like you clicked on them. You know that red circle you get on targets? It's pretty infamous in MMOs. You get some sort of indicator that you're currently selected on this person. In Ashes of Creation, when you aim at them, they become your target and they'll get that circle under their feet. And so if it's a single target ability, it'll actually hit them. I just think it's fascinating.
One targeted to hit with your light attacks. The melee combat live stream showed that best. Here's what a targeted enemy looks like. You can see the red circle again. Here's a group which isn't targeted. You can see Steven is only using light attacks and he's hitting everything. Then you can see when he's targeted on one, he's still hitting the other untargeted mob around him. This is commonly known as...
I love that. He's talking about obviously the concept of cleaving. A lot of people are very familiar with this. But I think that this is really cool because you can have a hybrid between either tab targeting or action style combat that you can toggle on and off. Depending on whatever mood you're in, depending on what type of content you're wanting to do, you can actually literally like turn it off, which is so epic because it gives, again, more player agency. I think a big thing that is missing in a lot of MMOs is just the ability to like, just let people play the game the way they want to play it. Don't get me wrong, I love World of Warcraft, but there are a lot of limiting things in World of Warcraft that just prevent me from playing the way I want to play it. For example, there are things like factions, again, limiting me to not being able to play the game the way that I want to play it. I don't like when a game tries to dictate the way I want to enjoy it. Giving players more freedom I think is really, really, really awesome. However, I do think that that can come with some pros and cons, because I think the first question a lot of people are asking, like what's the advantage? What's the advantage of playing either tab target or action style combat? Me as a player, what makes me want to play one or the other? Here's what the head developer Steven has to say about their attempt to kind of balance that. I don't know how effective it's going to be. I want to check out this clip, and then after that, I want to kind of share my thoughts. Check it out.
These skills can have additional points allocated to them to unlock further features. Some of them can be tabbed to start and become action if you allocate additional skill points. And this is one of the ways that we kind of balance the skills between action and tab targeting, requiring additional skill points in order to unlock
really cool.
certain features of that skill, and then it becomes a tab or an action type skill.
You can make
so you have the option to really pick what style of the game that you want to play. Sounds really good, right? Like, give people player agency, let them put talent points to make something either a tab-based ability or an action style-based ability. And there might be a lot more information on their attempt to balance that and make them that fair. I don't want to just assume that all the information about their entire philosophy or design is based off that one clip. So if there is more information that maybe I'm unaware of, feel free to drop it in the comments, let me know in the live stream chat. But here's what I will say about the freedom of this. There's pros and cons. The immediate pro is, first of all, just the ability to let people do whatever they want. I've already kind of touched that in this video. The more you can just let people do whatever they want to do, I'm for it, man. Like, video games are supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be enjoyed. It doesn't always have to just be about making progress or hitting a goal or whatever it might be. It should be about just letting people enjoy themselves. So letting them play the game however they want to play it, in theory, I think that sounds amazing. There are going to be some moments where I might want to chill back, recline my chair, and just kind of tab target, have some fun, run through, kill some mobs. But there might also be some moments where maybe I want to be a little more active and I want to be kind of, dodging and maybe, I don't know if you can roll to the side in this game, but I want to have some movement. I want to incorporate movement and aiming and practice by accuracy when I'm in the mood to be a little bit more active. And then depending on, the content of the game, there might be some advantages or disadvantages depending on what, certain type of content feels like. However, my big concern, and I'm sure that they're aware and they're going to attempt to address this, My biggest concern is if there's two ways to play the game, that it could almost result in there being two different actual games being played, and some people won't be invited to play one or the other. For example, my fear would be that people that play, action style combat will only invite people to their group who are also playing action style combat. Let me use an example from World of Warcraft. If you're not familiar, let me catch you up to speed. In World of Warcraft, there is a class called Evoker. I play an Evoker. I love Evoker. And there is one spec called Devastation. It is a damage dealing type of class. And in World of Warcraft, later in the expansion Dragonflight, they ended up releasing what is technically another damage dealing Evoker called Augmentation, but it also has a lot of like support abilities, so people can also play it like a support style class. Two different damage ways to play an Evoker. And what happened very, very quickly was in the Dungeon Finder, you would see it all the time where people as an Evoker are trying to queue up for a group, and you would see it listed all the time of like looking for an Evoker, Augmentation only. There's two different damage ways to play the Evoker. However, a meta started forming. Will only invite you if you play this version of the Evoker. We'll only invite you to our group if you play this style of the game. And honestly, my fear is that if that really happens, that would almost start happening in Ashes of Creations. We'll only invite you to our group if you play if you play action style combat. We'll only invite you to our raid if you only do action style combat. Now, right now, they have no information to kind of make us feel like one is more advantageous than the other or one is better than the other. Some people in the forums are already kind of fighting for action, style probably has, it's probably more difficult, so therefore it should do more damage. And although I definitely think that, if you're using action style combat to the highest capability, I do think it probably will be more challenging. So I'm not necessarily against the idea of it being rewarded with more damage. However, if that happens, there will almost 100% be a divide in the game. Will that be a bad thing? I'm not entirely sure. However, I know MMOs and I know people, and I know especially the elitist mindset. If you give people any reason to divide themselves, they will. They will. And I'm just not really a fan of that in MMOs. So I'm not a fan of action style combat having an advantage other than just being your preference of fun. So in theory, sounds really great. However, in practice, I guess we'll just have to see how it goes. I have no problem with it being two styles of the game. I actually prefer that. I want to use both at different times. However, I don't know how that's actually going to play out in practice, but I'm going in optimistic. And ultimately, if there is a divide and there's the action style people and the tab style people, as long as there's enough of them to go around, then they can just kind of find their people and play with them. Then I guess that might be okay. But I guess that's my biggest concern. However, it's not big enough of a concern that I don't want them to put it in the game. I want them to put it in the game. This option, this free player agency, is probably actually one of the things that is attracting me to the game most. And I really, really hope that it ends up being successful and doesn't end up just kind of being a huge divide. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think this splitting and this option of the two combat styles will create a divide in a way that's negative, or do you see it as a pro? Hey, if you guys enjoy content like this, hit the subscribe button and join these content live. Link in the description below. Thank you so much to everyone that supports. I appreciate y'all. Shout out to all the Patreon subs and those who keep this channel alive so we can keep on making a positive impact in the gaming community. It's been your boy SouZy. Catch you in the next one.